Well, the person that introduced me was Charity, and Senior Presidential Director Charity, and she reached out to me. And introduced the patches. She just barely had started too, just got them, and she said, "Hey, I know you're quite sick, and I don't, I'm learning too, and here's some patches." And at the same time, me and Ann both, she sent some to me and Ann Sontag, and so I was quite sick, but I clearly wasn't sick enough to go ahead and start using them. I kind of laid them to the side because I thought, what can this do? I had chronic diarrhea, and it had been going on for plus 6 months. And I had gone to an internal medicine doctor. They had done all kinds of tests. They tested, and they ruled out all these different things. So he said, "I'm pretty much at the end of my rope. You need to go see a GI doctor." So I started seeing a GI doctor. And in the meantime, my friends were very concerned for me. I would have a friend come over, and she would make me get in the car, take me to the hospital to get IVs, just because we thought I was going to lose my life. And in the process, the GI doctor did a colonoscopy and endoscopy, and he still didn't feel like he had enough answers yet. And he wanted to go back in and do another colonoscopy. He basically gave three things that he was looking for, and none of them were something I wanted to walk in. And I said, "Well, before November, I wasn't doing this. So there's a reason, there's something I got to figure out how to get out of this." And so in that meantime, Charity sent me those, but my life was chaos. I was just divorced. I'm in the process of deciding whether I want to sell my home. We just had went through COVID, and it was this chaos kind of a thing with not working as a therapist and that kind of stuff. And I just thought, one more thing, and I was just surviving, literally. And so I got these patches, and finally, after I was tortured by Ann and Charity, I said, "Okay, I'm going to put them on." And it was mostly just to prove them wrong. But on day 4, I go, something's different, and I could tell that my body, I wasn't sick. I was feeling pretty darn good. But I thought, well, it just has to be a fluke. And a friend of mine said, "Well, eat something I haven't eaten in a while," because I was only down to 3 foods a day, very bland. And I thought she meant anything. Well, I did. I went and had a taco. And I didn't get sick. And
I bet that was one of the best tacos you had in a long time, too.
it was, because it was been 7 months since I had a taco. And I was so thrilled. And I thought, there's just no way. And the next morning, my friend got up really early for her. She called. She said, how are you? And I said, "I still am not sick." And I always got sick within, like, literally, I would say I put food here and it was coming out. That's how fast it was happening.
How long or how many times had you patched before this?
This was day 4 when I went and had the taco. Day 3, I could tell there was something happening. And day 4, I hadn't got sick since day 3 to 4. And then I ate the taco on day 4, because I thought, if these are going to work, they're going to have to work. And so then on day 4 is when I did that. And then on day 5 is when I drove to Ann's house, and I said, "I want a diamond." I said, all I could think was 19 months. I needed as much healing as I could. And literally, that's what my thought was, 19 months.
Wow.
And so that was kind of the process of how I started. Now I've been using the patches for over a year and a half. June will be 2 years. I'm never thought to do this as a business or anything. I just wanted to heal. That's all I wanted. But all my friends seen me that healing process because they knew where I was. And some other things that's happened since then is, I don't have diarrhea ever, no more. When I went to see my GI doctor, he goes, "Who are you and what are you doing?" He was so, flabbergasted because I looked like death before. And when I went back for the next colonoscopy, I looked like I was living. I looked alive.
And what was the time span between those two things?
I waited 2 months. He wanted
Okay.
to do the colonoscopy sooner, but I thought, no, let me just give the patches a little bit of time. So I put the appointment off for 2 months. And so it was 2 months from the time he had seen me before and 2 months on the patch. And now, I would say about 6 months or so in, I noticed that my knees felt better. I could go up and down the stairs like I did in my youth. And now I'm back to walking again. I had a huge healing process. I didn't get into this situation overnight. I mean, your gut, there's so many other little signs show up, but it's all happening in your gut. So when your gut is going crazy, you've missed all the other signs before. And it was. So my healing process was long and huge. And I would say in the last 3 or 4 months is when I really got that major breakthrough of I feel energy to go out and exercise. Now, did I have energy before and the fatigue was gone early on? Yes, but I really have energy. I really have the desire to eat healthy, to exercise. I moved in a place now that my dog has to be walked just to go, yes, I'm exercising 3 times a day, no matter what.
That's
And,
awesome.
and I actually moved to the beach. So
I have a question because you brought something up, and I think this is really fantastic because I know exactly what you mean. You had knocks on the door before you opened it up and got to the point where you were just having constant diarrhea, lethargic, feeling horrible. What are the little things that you think you missed? We're tired, we're running households, we're running businesses, we have families, all the things. And if you get tired, you're just kind of like, oh, I'm good. I got this. So what was kind of the things that you noticed when you look back?
Well, autoimmune disease, that was one of
Okay.
the biggest things. Is I was diagnosed with a couple different autoimmune diseases, and autoimmune diseases come from the gut. And I didn't know that because I didn't have enough education of healing, and that kind of stuff. Fatigue, chronic fatigue. That's another thing. I just was getting tighter and tighter, and I would work a day, and then some other therapist would work a day, and she'd ready to go, and I'm over here like, just take me home.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Um, uh, there's several things I'm trying to think of because
Right.
and why that health tracker is so important, because as we go this way in our healing, we don't always remember all those little signs.
Yeah.
Fatigue. I said, it's not sleeping well. I thought I was sleeping good because I could go to sleep anytime I wanted, but that was the problem. I could go to sleep anytime I wanted. I
Right.
wasn't getting that real restful REM sleep at night.
There we go. Yeah, because Stacey, you mentioned, chronic fatigue syndrome, and what a lot of people, people just think that's just fatigue. You just don't feel like you're moving, but it's way more than that because it affects your mental, how you think, and even thinking's hard, and you're emotional. You're kind of like flatlined with your emotions. And I mean, I know you, and you're just the most bubbliest person I know. And so I would say, now I'm just going to perceive, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you've kind of done a 180 with all of that.
I have. And it does affect you mentally. As my children grew and they would move the house, I was emotional wreck, those kind of things. And now when things like this happen in my life, I'm not fatigued. I'm not crazy in the mind in a sense. I think clear and I go, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. But when you're tired and you're fatigued and you got pain and you got all these things, everything seems big,
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just don't want to engage in life, relationships, conversations, anything, because it's such a big chore, right? The little things are huge chores.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to live as long as I can. And really, honestly, one of the biggest things that really was powerful to me is when I heard David say, I want to live to 250 and I'm going to figure out how. And I thought anybody that wants to live that long and he wants to live well that long, I want to see what they're doing because you know what? I want to be around for my great, 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 great grandkids.